pivot over to David Marquet, I just want to reemphasize the second C of the 5 C's of leading in this crisis is to really focus on both your customers and the community. And if they've got some spare time, as they do at Zappos, this is the time, again, when you're going to make or break your brand and how much you're willing to contribute out there to the community. So, Holly, thank you so much. Next, David Marquet. David, you guys, we've had him on stage a couple of times at our summit. He's the famous sub commander who took the worst sub in nuclear history and took it from worst to first in 1 year and didn't have the ability to furlough or get anyone off the ship. But very specifically, he's got a new book out about the language of leadership. So I've asked him to share 2 things. First, he, during the Cold War, had his whole crew underwater for 87 days. And he developed a way to deal with that, to remain sane and strong. And then I asked him to share what are some of the language that we should be using with our people that might be better than some of the things that we're saying. So let's welcome on David Marquet. Captain.
Thanks so much, Verne, and good afternoon, everybody. So,
by the way, I see your submarine there in the back.
Yeah, my submarine's back here. So what I wanted to do was spend most of my time talking about the mindset of us getting through these long periods of being underwater. And there's 2 basic conditions. First of all, you're in this metal tube. So you're totally isolated from the outside environment. You have no idea whether it's daylight, sunlight, stormy, calm, and you're isolated from your friends and family. But at the same time, you got 150 people crammed in there, which on deployment will go for 6 months, but there may be as many as two or 3 months where we're going to be underwater, not even opening the hatch, smelling fresh air, seeing sunlight at a time. And good teams will come out of that stronger. Good teams will come out of that, we'll still be friends, and we'll be talking about the good times of that. And I've distilled it down into 6 R's. I've taken a page from Verne's Reinvent, and I'm just going to go over them real quickly. The first 2 R's are ritual and routine. Now, the idea of routine is, it was fun when we started working from home, and I got to wear my pajamas, blah, blah, blah. But here's what I want you to do now. I want you to go back and reestablish your routines. I want you to set repetitive, boring habits. If you used to get up at 6:30, get up at 6:30. If you used to shave and make your bed, shave and make your bed. One of the key things in my routine is yoga at 7:30. Why 7:30? Because 7:30 is when the sun rises at my house. And sitting there doing yoga as the sun is coming up every morning grounds me. I finish off with a little bit of meditation. And here's why this works. There's a lot you can't control, and everyone is feeling out of control. Your people are feeling out of control. So you focus on what you can control. And nothing's going to happen if you do this once, 2, 3 times. But repetitively, what happens is it sends a signal to your body, you got this. You're grounded. You're in control. So control the front and the back and the end of your day. And if you are only to control one thing during the day, I want you to control this, the time you go to bed. Because if you don't go to bed at the right time, you're not going to get the right amount of sleep, and you're not going to get up at the right time, and it's just going to be this cascading disaster. The second is ritual. Ritual is, hey, when we're out on deployment, we're far from home, we're far from our families. If Thanksgiving came, we celebrated Thanksgiving. Was it like being at home? No, but we try to do the best we can. We've got Easter coming up, people's birthdays. Try and maintain those rituals as close as possible as the way they were. That's one. Number 3, we call red work. Now, the phrase red work comes from the way we divided work. Work was either red work, which red work is the doing work. It's taking apart pumps, flying airplanes, talking in front of clients. It's the physical action. Then there's blue work. Blue work is thinking about the red work. Blue work serves to make the red work better. The problem is when these crises come, we tend to retreat back into rumination. And we're like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Verne said, you can't think your way out of this. I want you to do just barely enough thinking and then launch yourself into the action as an experiment. See what happens. Two things. Number one, you won't really know whether it works until you actually try it. But number two, it's the action will keep you and your team from getting idle, from getting depressed, and from getting ruminating too long. Number four, I call replenish. You got to take care of your physical self. I talked about the yoga before. You're going to be at home. On the one hand, you're not going out so much, so maybe you can improve your eating habits. But on the other hand, maybe you have a tendency to graze and food's available all the time. So take care of yourself in terms of your diet, drink plenty of water, get your workouts in, and make sure that the engine that's you is working. Number five is retreat. Not retreat from a business perspective, but give yourself permission as a human being to do a personal retreat. On the submarine, each sailor had a bunk, and this bunk was ludicrously small, 6 feet long, 2 feet wide, 18 inches deep. But it had a curtain. And when the sailor went into that bunk and closed the curtain, that was his or her personal space. Unless there was a fire or some emergency, we respected that. You didn't have a lot of space and you didn't have a lot of time, but you gave yourself permission to retreat and rejuvenate. I also call this the 100-0 rule. If you can't give something or some person 100% of your attention, give it 0% and tell them that. And then set it up so that you can give 100% of your attention. The last one is respect. Now, what happens is on the submarine, day 10, everything's fine. Then all the fresh vegetables run out. Day 20, everything's sort of okay. And then we go from real potatoes to dehydrated potatoes. And day 30 and day 40. And then day 50, we're supposed to be coming off a station. But no, we got extended for 20 days because some other submarine is. Now people are starting to get nerves are fraying and bump into each other. Like, why'd you bump into me? Respect. Just say, hey, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to. And here's the key though, assume respect. I think the driving's crazy out there right now, but everyone else is feeling the stress that you are. And if something happens to you, don't get all excited. Someone's aggressive to you in a meeting, someone cut you off in a car. Assume that they are respecting you, and it's just something about the current situation that's put them in that place. And in turn, so those are the 6 R's. Boom. In terms of language.
Hold it up there just a little bit longer.
Sorry, take a screenshot.
There we are. Routine, ritual, red work, replenish, retreat, and respect. And David, I want to make one comment, and then I'm going to let you give you a couple minutes on the language. That's where we're really seeing this idea of figure out something concrete you can do in the next hour. Take that next step up or down Everest now that the storm has come in, and then take a moment and retreat. One of the things we've learned is just this moving backward and forward, why Steve Jobs loved the walks and talks. I've been doing 5-mile equivalent of steps by just pacing around while I'm on phone conversations, because those two in combination are very calming, and focus provides calm. Just a couple of things around language, and then we got a minute.
Yeah, so in my new book, I talk about language. The basic hypothesis is that we've inherited an industrial age playbook and an industrial age language. And even when companies try and move beyond it, the language that we use and the plays that by play, I mean the standard interactions that we have. And I just want to touch on the last play, which is connect. The idea was in the industrial age, the play was conform to your hierarchical role, because I was telling other people what to do and it cascaded down. So I really didn't need to know you as a human being. You just needed to do what you were told. In fact, the more I knew you might get in the way of me telling you what to do. Yeah. So if you lose everything else during this time, your team's going to be sitting there. Don't lose connection. That is the last thing you should be, that's the last thing your fingernails should be holding on to. And my hypothesis is that teams who do this right, you're going to see your people in their living rooms, in their bedrooms, with their 2-year-old, with leaning over to pet the dog, excusing themselves to deal with their 13-year-old who's doing remote schooling. You will not be able to see your people as simply people who come to work anymore. and the professional side of them. It'll debunk this myth that, oh, there's two humans, the one of you that works and the one of you that's at home. We're all the same people. And I think in the future, we're going to be talking about, this is a watershed event. This is when we decided to finally shuck that mask of being a fake person at work and really connecting as human beings.
David Marquet, thank you so much.